Hello pre-calculus kids. Today we're going to look at some practice examples from section 9.3 so that you'll be able to complete the rest of the problems on your own. So I'm going to pick and choose a few that I think are a variety of ones that you would ask me to do if we were in class together, and we'll see how we make out. So first one I picked was number 4. It says use the table to find the exact value. So you're back to this lovely table and you're looking up the exact value. So secant of negative 90. If I go to the right, down to negative 90, and I go across to secant, I get undefined. And so that is my first answer here for number 4. This guy would be undefined. Next one I picked is number 10, cosine of negative 900. If I go to my chart, I don't have negative 900. My chart only goes up to 360. So there must be something I can do to adjust this 900 to think about what it would be that would be on my chart. So if I go around a full circle, I've gone 360. If I go, notice I went in a negative direction. If I go around a second time, now I'm at 720. So if I have to go around, I've got to figure out how much more do I have to go around from 720. So 900 minus, helps when you turn it on, right? 900 minus 720. I get 180. So that means I need to go from here 180 more. It stops me right here on this line. So that would be the same thing as 180 degrees. If I go to my chart and I look at the cosine of 180 degrees, here's 180. If I go across to cosine, I get negative 1, and that would be my answer for this one. So when they give you these crazy angles, all you need to do is convert it. Really, you're subtracting 360s from it until you get a number that is on your chart. All right, second kind says use your calculator to approximate each value. If it's something sweet like sine or this is also, you got to watch the mode on these. Watch your mode, because you either have to be in degrees if it's in degrees, or you have to be in radians if it's in pies. So I'm going to do this first one is at degrees. My calculator, I'll double check it when I do it in a second, that it's in degrees, but secant I don't have on my calculator. I have a choice of sine, cosine, and tangent, and that's all I got. So I think of reciprocals. Secant is reciprocal with cosine. So this would be the same thing as 1 over the cosine of 40 degrees if I use my reciprocal rules. You saw this in the intro video, so it shouldn't be anything new to you. If I go and check my mode, yes, I'm in degrees. I'm doing 1 divided by the cosine of 40. And that gives me a value that's 1.31, 1.305. Round it to 2 or 3 decimal places. That's good. The next one I want to do is number 19. 19's in pi language, so I got to change my mode of my calculator. This guy is going to be now in radians. So if I'm doing radians, put it in that mode. Cotangent, I don't have a cotangent, so now I have to do 1 divided by, this is a hot mess over here, right? 1 divided by the tangent of 23 pi over 90. But guess what? Your calculator can handle that. So don't worry about it. Just take 1 divided by the tangent. You see it opens up the parentheses for you. Put in 23 pi divided by 90. Close those parentheses, and now it looks exactly like what you have over here. That's going to be your answer. So this one has an answer of 0.966. Again, 2 or 3 decimal places is fine, whatever you choose. Last one I want to do is 24, because they tried to trick you in 24. Because wouldn't you think that that's the sine of 1.2 degrees? But it's not. And here's the reason why. See how this number 16 has a degree doohickey and number 24 doesn't? That means that this guy here is in radians. 1.2 radians. Without the degree doohickey, it's in radians. So all you need to do for this one is take the sine, which is in your calculator, of 1.2. My mode is already in radians, so I'm good. My answer is 0.932. Okay. I'm going to change my mode back to degrees, because most of the rest of my problems will be that mode for degrees. Here comes the next type. Next type is like 26. This is back to using the table. So use the table to figure out where the cosecant is 2 squared roots of 3 over 3. All you need to do is go to your table, look at the cosecant column, and you want to know where this thing is. 2 squared roots of 3 over 3, cosecant 2, oh, here's a spot, 60 degrees, keep going. Oh, here's a spot at 120. So 60 degrees and 120 are your two answers for this guy. 60 degrees, 120 degrees. So using the table, you can calculate those out. Then the last type are these, and we did some of these in the introduction video. I'm looking at where the sign is a negative 0.9336, and I want to know, I changed my mode of my calculator, my answer is going to be in degrees, round to the nearest hundredth, so we want to go a couple decimal places with that. Alright, so this is not on my chart, so I need to figure out a way in the calculator to be able to calculate that, and it's this whole thing where you take the sign to the -1, and when you put in this decimal, you put in the positive value of that decimal, 0.9336, and that's going to give you what's called a reference angle. And I gave better, more in-depth explanation on the introduction video about this, so you kind of should, if you watch that, have this in your wheelhouse. So sine, I want second sine of 0.9336, and it gives me 69.003. That's enough for me to round and just call that a 69-degree angle. Then I need to decide where is the sign negative. And so I'm going to go to that chart that we used in the explanation video, in the intro video, which is this. And I want to know, where is the sign negative? So, not in the first, not in the second, but it is in the third and it is in the fourth. And then these little things that are off to the side are telling you how you're going to put your 69-degree angle into that quadrant. So it's going to be 180 plus 69 degrees in the third. It's going to be 360 minus 69 degrees in the fourth. And so that's what I'm going to do here. So I know that sine is negative in the third and fourth quadrants. And so that's where I'm going to put it, in the third quadrant and in the fourth quadrant. Third quadrant is 180 plus my angle. That's 249. Fourth quadrant is 360 minus 69 degrees. That puts me at 291. Let me double check me. I was called out on one of my last videos. Lacey caught me on something that I didn't do quite right. I wasn't reading the chart quite. I was reading the wrong numbers in the chart. So you might have caught that in the 9-2 video. But when we're together, see, that's why I need you guys. I need you to help me. You have my back. You catch me when I make those silly mistakes. All right, so there's your answers. You've got your two answers, 249 and 291. All right, a couple more, and then we'll call it a day. Next one I want to do with you is number 36. Number 36 is a little bit more difficult, because, only a little bit, because you've got a secant and you don't have a secant button. So what you're going to do is you're going to take and turn that into its reciprocal cosine. Cosine would equal, got a reciprocal this, 1 over negative 1.589. And again, we did some of these in the intro video. So if I do that division, 1 divided by negative 1.589, I get negative 0.629. Negative 0.629. Now I'm ready to do my inverse stuff. I want to know what cosine to the -1 is of 0.629. Remember, the negative is just telling me what quadrants I'm going to put it in the end. So second cosine, and I put in 0.629, and out pops 51 degrees. Now 51.02, that's close enough. I'm just going to use rounding rules and call it 51 degrees. I want to know where the cosine is negative, so I'm going to my chart, and if I look at where cosine is negative, it is negative in the second and third quadrants. I'm not going to pull that chart over. You have it from watching the intro video. In the second quadrant, it's 180 minus the angle. In the third quadrant, it's 180 plus the angle. And so let's do the math. 180 minus 51, I get 129. Second one is, if I do 180 plus 59, I get 239. So 129 and 239. 2 to go. Number 39 is the next one that I wanted to look at with you, and that one is a tangent. Tangent is on your calculator, so you don't have to do the extra step of figuring out the fraction. All you need to do is take tangent to the -1 of 1.156 and see what the angle is going to be. So here I go. Second tangent of 1.156. This one gives me 41.13, 41.14. If I were to round it, I can't just round it to 49. It's not close enough. So it's going to be 49.14 is what we're going to use. 49.14. I want to know where tangent is positive. Everybody's positive in the first, and tangent is also positive in the third. Again, from the chart that we did in the intro. Same chart we had in section 9 too. So in the first quadrant, it equals whatever that angle is, 49.14 degrees. In the third quadrant, it's 180 plus 49.14 degrees. That gives you 229.14 degrees. And there are your two answers for number 39. Last one, last call. Number 44. This one is a cosecant. We don't have a cosecant button, so we're going to make this reciprocal. The sine of theta would be 1 over 1.23. I want to figure out what that decimal would be, so I take my calculator and I divide 1 divided by 1.23. And the men inside tell me I got 0.813. So I'm going to figure out what the angle is that gives me that, sine to the -1 of 0.813. Here it is, second sine, 0.813. And again, I can't round this. I mean, I can't just use 54. I've got to round this guy. So it's going to be 54.4, 0.39, whatever one you want to use. It's fun. Sine is positive. It's a positive 1.23. Sine is positive in the first quadrant. Sine is positive in the second quadrant. In the first quadrant, it's the same as the angle I got, the reference angle. In the second quadrant, it's going to be 180 minus my angle. And so just to be right, it's 180. Oop, the wind's blowing. 180. Oop, wind's all blowing over. All right, I have 180 minus 54.4. And that gives me 125.6. And they would be my two answers for that. So you have just figured out how to find angles and how to evaluate trig functions when they're not on your chart, and that was the whole point of section 9.3. All right, good luck with the rest of the practice problems, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.